I want to push out another criticism, and that's a criticism that actually I experience myself. So I have a really large audience. I'm contacted at the moment probably 1 or 2 times a day by NFT creators, NFT idea people, and they're like, look, Julian, you can actually create the future yourself. We start working together, you shill those NFTs, and just by you shilling them, you make them valuable, right? Just that
Sure.
fact. So on the one hand, I get what they're saying, and it sounds appealing, but on the other hand, this is not me, right? I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So like, do you see some, I mean, you mentioned a couple of times cash grabs and so on. Do you see a bit
Yeah.
of a challenge in that, or address that a bit?
You're right, and it really depends on how you go about it. So if you create an NFT that has no utility behind it, and you're literally just trying to, because you have a big audience, pump it, and there's nothing else to it except for you created some shitty art and you put a high dollar value on it because you have a lot of followers, they say, oh yeah, sure, we'll grab that. But you have no intention in supporting it in the future, creating more, or doing something with it, then that's a project I don't want to be a part of. But if you can give it some sort of utility that makes sense, I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I've actually done that multiple times. In 2019, I created a Stache founders token. And so this was for my community, and I mostly gave them away for free. I did sell a couple, but mostly I just gave them away to, community supporters, people who were around at that time that had been supporting me already. But it gives you benefits. You hold this NFT token in your wallet, and every month you got certain benefits, right? One of them, which was really fun and cool, and we've been doing for years until just recently because of fees, was called the Wheel of Crypto, and it's an actual wheel with a bunch of prizes on it that I physically spin, and I pick 3 wallets every month to get a spin, and so they get prizes and things on that. So there's value there. I'm not just slapping my damn face on something and saying buy me, and then I don't give a shit after that. Like there's it's a way to be able to engage your community, right? To be able to give them special rewards or access to you in some sort of way. You could do something as simple as saying, all right, I want to be able to give my community 100 hours this year. So I'm going to create a unique NFT token, and I'm going to fractionalize my time, that 100 hours, into 10-hour or 10-minute increments, or 30-minute increments, or an hour increment, right? And then you sell those and saying, okay, well, what is an hour worth of my time? What is that worth? Is it $200? Is it $100? 50? I don't know. Maybe it's 1,000 euros. But now you put that price tag on there, and you've given that NFT utility. It has worth to you, it has worth to your community, and it actually, redeeming something like that would actually, I think, be helpful to people. So there's so many things
And
you
it
can
might go
do.
up over time, because let's see,
Good.
let's say maybe today the hour is worth $1,000, and maybe in 10 years it's $100,000 because you are like so successful and
Yeah,
famous. That's like,
it surely
holy
could.
crap. Yeah.
Yeah, it surely could. And you could even put you could do mechanics on where it's like, oh well, you can only use it in this year because it's it says that's the expiration date, and if you don't use it by then, then you forfeit your hour or something. So you can do all kinds of things with that, and I think there's a lot, and that's just barely scratching the surface. That was a very basic example, but yes, there's lots of different ways you can do that and do it well.
Cool. That just gives me an idea, because I think for charitable cause this would be super amazing.
Yeah.
What other ideas have you seen out there from creators where you thought, you know what, that's well done. Like there's value to the community in doing that. Any
Mhm.
other
Mhm.
ideas that I could think about for a charitable cause? I thought this is really nice actually.
Yeah. Charity is a great way to do it as well. One of the cool things I've seen too is like staking of NFTs. So that's something that we're starting to see on the Wax blockchain right now. And you can essentially, some of these, this project actually called Our Planet, you can stake Wax NFTs there, and you get like their native cryptocurrency that's part of their little game. And so, that's another thing that kind of gives, those projects. And currently, is it just something fun and cool that I can collect from somebody I really like or admire or whatever it may be? But now I can actually go stake it on this other platform, and I get extra utility. So, that's one of the cool things that you're not limited by, is that if you create an NFT, anybody could go and say, hey, what, if you own Julian's, time NFT, I'm going to give anybody who owns that NFT, 5 minutes of my time too. And that's, like I said, once again, simple example, but so there's a lot of ways to like piggyback too. And that's a cool thing I've started to see within the community is, community projects working with each other and saying, hey, let's collab. And so if this person has this thing or this person has this thing, it may unlock this thing in this other game. And we talked a little bit about that earlier with Cogs, being able to do something like that as well. So I think that's definitely something we'll start to see a lot more of too.
Cool. How do you see the royalty system like happening? Like the reselling and so on.
Mm-hmm. Royalty system is great. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest.
Can you explain it briefly?
Yeah. So it's one of the biggest cornerstones, I think, of doing art on these platforms. Essentially, you create an NFT, you sell it for $100 to somebody, he's all super happy. You get the $100, right, or whatever, minus whatever fees maybe you got to pay for marketplace, and he goes and he takes it and he resells it for $1,000, right? And so you've put a royalty fee on that when you created it of 10%. Now you've made $100 off his sale. And then the next guy, he bought it for $1,000. He's like, man, I'm going to flip this for $10,000. So then he sells it for $10,000. You get 10% of that sale too. And so on forever.
What are reasonable royalties? Where do you feel these are like totally unreasonable, or what do you like, or is there a standard already?
I mean, I would say a 10% royalty is fairly standard from what you see across kind of the industry. A lot of platforms allow you to set your own royalty. So you could do it from, you could zero, you could just take nothing, or, 15 or 20% or 25. It really depends. And so that's something you do have to obviously look for too. Like, hey man, maybe this guy's taking way too much of this sale. I'm gonna have to pay him a lot of royalties just to buy this. And so that's something you got to take in consideration as well. Like, do you really want to price out your buyers? So maybe you do, maybe you don't, maybe you think they don't care that it's going to be 30%. But in particular, I think keeping it at a decent, acceptable level makes sense. You still get to get some of those residuals, and they're not paying too much to be able to collect your art.